Hello. How are you? I'm always crooked. Everything's always backwards on here. How are you? JB, how you doing? I hope you're doing all right. I'm doing all right. Woo, it's been a month. Let me tell you. I'm doing okay. Um, Let me see who else is on here. Okay, we're waiting. Give it a few more minutes. I'm so glad to see you. I figured, you know, I even tried to send a notification this time and I couldn't get it to work. They changed the format and it says post. So I tried to post a notification and I couldn't get it to go. So I don't know why. So I just, if I had a person's phone number, then I would just text them and let them know I'm getting ready. I'm ready to go on. So I hope you're doing all right tonight. Hello, Carolyn. How are you? I hope everybody's doing. Hi, Chloe. Hi. Hope you guys are doing okay. I was actually thinking about maybe one of these days doing a Zoom call, like a live Zoom. That way we could all be on there together. We could all see each other and we could all talk. And anyway, I thought that would be fun. I don't know how many of you have Zoom, but I use it in my meetings. I have to have meetings like twice a week most of the time. That's just for our ministry. But then, in the on the political arena, I have meetings that I have to attend on Zoom as well. So I decided to buy the pro package and just be done with it because the other one that was free was it only gives you something like 40 minutes and then it's just going to cut you off. But this other one, I could have up to with the package that I have, I can have up to 100 people on the call at one time. So that's good. And there's no time limit. I don't have to worry about a time limit or anything like that. Anyhow, I hope everybody's doing okay. I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day coming up. I'll be in a meeting. So there you go. Happy Mother's Day to me. But it is at the end of the day. So, and I'm sorry if you see me rubbing, it's because, man, we got crazy rain, crazy mosquitoes, and crazy pollen or something going on out there. It's crazy. Anyhow, so I'm itching. My face is itching. My nose is itching. Everything's itching. Anyhow, so make sure you sign in and let us know where you're signaling from. I'm glad you're here. Glad to see everybody. And I want to talk about what's going on. Now, you would think that if you had seen my schedule, yeah. Anyway, you would think I wouldn't even have time to keep up with this stuff. But here's the thing. First of all, I want to say what my position is in regard to these trade conflicts that are going on. Um, I understand why the president is doing what he's doing. The problem is that a lot of people today were born into the system that we're operating under right now, and knew nothing about it unless you're into economics or something like that. Then you won't really understand what's happening. And I'm not an economist. I got a little common sense, but I'm not an economist. So let me just explain as best I can what from my perspective what is happening. Okay? So for several years, many years, we have been in trade relationships with several nations around the world. And having not seen, hi melancholy, having not seen uh, specific contracts or anything, I can just tell you basically what I think is going on just based on regular economics. And that is you do trade with a country, they trade things with you. You guys charge tariffs. Tariffs have always been in place. Tariffs were in place before taxes were in place. Okay. That's how the states dealt with each other. It was through tariffs. They charge X amount, port fees or whatever for your stuff to come into our country. And then we charge X amount of stuff, or you charge X amount of stuff for our stuff to come into your country and all that. So what has been happening for several years is that, hi Margaret, is that a lot of countries have been charging us way more money, way more than what was fair. And I guess nobody really knew it or cared, or somebody knew because somebody made the agreement, right? But nobody seemed to really care. Um, and then you have to understand there's always these backdoor deals and stuff going on that the general populace is not privy to. So if you have an agreement with someone, uh, a factory or whatever, and you say, I'm going to charge you X amount of dollars to manufacture your product and to ship it for you, and put the label on it for you and all that. Then it gets to the port and it costs money, dues to offload it and all that. Then it gets to the store and they're going to mark it up because they're the ones that had to pay the shipping costs and all that kind of stuff. Well, what happens in our case is that people charge us an exorbitant amount of money to do business with us. And I think part of the reason for that is that the United States and the Western world has a reputation of being like the breadbasket of the world. We're supposed to be the land that flows with milk and honey. So everybody just assumes that we have all this money and it's up for the taking. No. So now we have a president in office who's saying, listen, we don't mind doing business with you, but this needs to be fair. You can't be ripping us off. And then when we try to send products to your country, you always find a reason why you don't want to take it, right? So, in other words, they're making money off of us, but we ain't really making money off of them, right? Because they're charging us so much for the little bit of stuff that they do allow to come into their country. So, there's that. So after all of these decades of that happening like that and people just settling for it in the name of peace and free trade and all this kind of stuff, we have a president in office who's saying, um, where is that light coming from? That is the weirdest thing. What is that? Oh, it might, there's can you look over there? I don't know what, look, there's this light on my face. I don't know where
There's a light.
Oh my God. Don't listen to him singing, y'all.
It is shining.
I don't know what that is. Is that coming from the window?
It might be coming.
I want y'all to think I was ready to go to glory and I just started glowing in the dark or whatever. That's crazy. Can you? Oh, it's getting worse. Okay, wait. Sorry, y'all. He's making it. Oh, that's the problem. Hold on. I don't want you to get
early graduation.
That light is. Yeah, that's worse. I got an idea. Why don't you just put a little something up there?
A little something.
Anyway, look, y'all. I'm sorry about the. No, can you put something up there?
I can.
And just block that light, please.
I shall.
Let me see if I can do this. Nope, that doesn't help. My husband's trying to work with this window because there's crazy light coming in. I don't know if that's going to work. Oh my gosh, what a big interruption. Anyway, yeah, not working. Why don't you get a towel up there? Okay. Anyway, see, now I don't know what I was talking about because
some crazy light.
Anyway, that's good. Thank you. So anyway, I don't know what's the last thing I said. Somebody put it in the comments so I can get back on track because that was so annoying to have that light. I have this watch on, right? And sometimes it reflects light. And I'm thinking, but my arm is down. So where's the light coming from? From the window. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't know. I don't know. Put your plugs back in. Thank you very much. Anyway. Oh, okay. So what I was talking about was so people have been taking advantage of our country for a long time. And also with this uh, Department of Government Efficiency, they have found so much money that's been going into a black hole somewhere. It's ridiculous. I mean, our government through the years have set up all kinds of shell companies, and this is through many different administrations through the decades that have been doing this. Um, and I spoke to you guys once before about your tax dollars or your kids' tax dollars, whoever's paying the taxes, going to some other country for some other project in the name of foreign aid that you did not vote for. You know, um, it's a waste, and so I think it's interesting that people get angry at the person who actually found the waste than getting angry with the people who actually wasted the money. That's what a twisted society we're living in right now, right? When you get mad at the person who caught the thief. I mean, what kind of craziness is that? Anyway, so in light of all of the shenanigans that are going on, I thought it was best to warn you of a couple of things. Number one, when we don't have any ships coming into port carrying our goods and our products into our country, because we do trade with a lot of countries. And right now, you have countries that are trying to renegotiate decent, fair trade deals. Listen, the president is not trying to rip off another country. He's trying to keep his own country from being consistently taken advantage of, and the American citizens from being ripped off constantly. That's what he's doing. Now, it's going to hurt for a minute. And the reason I say that is because he's got to take a tough stand. Otherwise, nothing will change. Um, and the reason it'll hurt is because we have ships that are turning around. Now, my understanding is when they left port, before he put these measures in place, they were okay. The ones that were already at sea and were already docked, they were okay. But any new ships coming in after he put that measure in place were going to be taxed 145%. Um, so that's 45% more than what the product is worth. And so you have a lot of companies or countries that are saying, we can't make it like that. There's no use in us shipping anything to them. Now, this is predominantly dealing with China, who is like our one of our biggest trade partners. I mean, you can't even go in Walmart and find something that doesn't say made in China. I mean, it's ridiculous. Nothing's made in America anymore. Very few products are made here in our own country. And over the years, we have made ourselves too independent upon foreign exchange and foreign trade. We need to make our own stuff. So I think that the president has started um, the momentum of other countries saying, listen, we can't pay those high prices. So maybe we need to just make our own stuff right here. Good. Every country needs to be sovereign. Every country needs to establish its own boundaries, its own customs, its own culture, and all of that, right? You should not be so dependent upon another country that you cannot function without their help. I mean, because you're not an independent sovereign nation if you cannot function without the help of another country. I mean, you've been taken over. You just don't realize it, right? That's what has happened here. And so this president has gone into office. He campaigned on this and he said, we're going to make America great again. That's what he means by that. He's not talking about going back to all the negativity and all the stuff that, that the so-called protester, which are really activists, are shouting and screaming and lighting their hair on fire and gluing their hands to the sidewalk and all kinds of craziness. He ain't talking about going back to all the negativity. He's talking about going back to a time where we were an independent nation. We broke free from a tyrant named King George, okay? And we said we do not want to be taxed if you will not respect the voice of the people. So this was the birth of a nation who wanted to be sovereign, who wanted to be independent, who wanted to have good neighbors to trade with and all that, but wanted it to be fair. And so before the whole income tax thing started, we dealt in tariffs. That's how our country made money. This is not a new concept. It's just that we were not living when they were doing it. All right. Now, our great grandparents were, but we were not here when they dealt in money like that. One of the challenges that our state is having is that um, we are trying to go back to gold and silver being the standard, because they have so over the years, several administrations have so decimated our dollar and the Federal Reserve, which has nothing to do with the federal government. It's a private organization that is running the economics of our country. Now, how ridiculous is that? That is just absolutely stupid. I don't know who, I can't even remember what president signed on to that one, but that was just stupid. But anyway, so one of the challenges that we're having here in our state is we're trying to go back to the gold standard and use gold and silver um, as real currency. It is real money. It's God's money. You have to dig it up out of the earth. You have to dig it out of the earth, right? You didn't make the earth. You can make paper, but you didn't make the tree that the paper came from. You understand what I'm saying? So gold and silver is God's money, and our state is trying to go back to that. But we've got some people who are very much into the fiat currency and greasing their own palms and patting the back of somebody that helped them steal and divert funds and all this kind of stuff. Uh, that's opposing it. Well, that's a problem because you got the patriots that say, listen, we already been through this whole, taxation and all this stuff, and we broke away and became a free sovereign nation because we did not want to be under the jackboot of somebody who thinks they can just extract our labor, extract our time, extract our energy, our talents, and our money by calling it taxation, and then want us to be happy about it. No, we're not happy. And that's why, against I would say against the odds, I will say against those who can't stand the man, probably 80%, 75 anyway, percent of America voted for the guy that they may not even like, but they liked his policies. You know why? Because they were mature enough to get out of their feelings, look at their own livelihood, look at where their money is right now, how it's serving them right now, how the price of everything had gone up ridiculously. You couldn't even afford eggs, They were the last administration was steadily killing off all the animals, killing the cows, killing the chickens, coming up with these bogus viruses and stuff, just like they did before when they were killing people, and all this. And so we have to get back to a place where we're self-sufficient, right? Now, let me qualify that statement for my Christian friends on here. We all know that our sufficiency is in Christ, but he has given us talents. He's given us plants. He's given us food. He's given us know-how on how to sustain ourselves in a civilized society. We just have to want to be a part of that, all right? Until we're no longer a part of this. So, now I'm just blabbing on. Anybody got anything? I'm gonna look at the things here. Y'all, how come ain't nobody saying nothing but me? What is that? What's wrong with y'all? Anyhow, so concerning this whole thing of the ships and things being turned around, you need to keep in mind that all of our medicine is made in China and India. Now let me just give you something to think about. Would you trust someone who hates you so much and has such a God complex that they want to take over the world, that they will kill off their own people, where the crematoriums were running day and night because there was no more room to bury anybody? I mean, they just had to burn the bodies over there in China, right? They absolutely hate the West. The government, I'm not saying the people, I'm saying the government of that country hates the West. So, why would you want to take medicine that comes from there? Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just listen. I'm suspicious. Okay, I'm suspicious. I I'm not going to sit at the table with the enemy and eat out of his bowl. Not unless he takes a sip first. Okay, I'm just saying I ain't doing it. And so we need to be able to make our own medication and stuff. I know when we moved out here, I see y'all can see I'm in my RV. When we moved out here and bought this land and stuff, this is a little town. It's less than 1,000 people. Okay, it's like a little ghost town. But anyhow, when we moved out here, it was like there was there isn't even a grocery store. The grocery store closed. So unless we bring food with us, we have to drive 10 miles to go get something. So we try to get it on our way in, right? 10 miles. If that one grocery store closes down, this becomes a food desert. There is nothing else. There's nothing else here. We had a pharmacy that closed down like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years before we moved out here. There's no pharmacy no more. And we found, excuse me, the lady that owned the pharmacy, her and her family, and we talked to her when we first got out here. And she said, I think it was because of Medicaid or Medicare or something, was charging the pharmacies so much money till it was just, it wasn't sustainable. They had to close down. And they had been here for decades, but they had to close down when uh, I think the Obama administration got in there and just screwed up everything with that whole, you had to buy his health insurance or whatever. Well, it just screwed up the pharmaceutical stuff, and the little independent pharmacies couldn't handle it. They couldn't make it. I mean, Walmart made out just fine. Isn't that something? But of course, they're in cahoots with China because how is it that all the stuff on their shelves comes from China? I'm just saying. Anyway, let's see. JB says, we are listening. Preach. And Carol says, I never understood how we would consume something from a place that hates us. Right? Okay, that's kind of like a no-brainer. I'm telling you, listen, you got you got husbands and wives that'll have a spat, like a really bad argument or something, and the guy might be scared to eat dinner because he don't know what she did to it. Now that ain't me, okay? I'm just saying. I've heard of stuff like that where the man's like, he ain't even eating dinner that day because he don't know what she did to it, or he ain't going to sleep because he doesn't know what she gonna do. Why in the world would we want to take life-saving medication from a country who has declared war on us? I just don't get it. So I feel like the president is on the right track. Now the reason why I say it's going to hurt for a minute is because I've been telling you guys forevermore to stock your pantry. Okay. See, here's one of the things that's a challenge to people like me. When you can see stuff in the distance, it's a gift that God has given me, right? And when you can see stuff in the distance and it's going to be catastrophic for some people if they don't take action, it's like I have a mandate on my life to blow the trumpet, you might say, and say, okay, listen, prepare. And God gives us a lot of time, a lot of times to prepare. If we don't, then we get caught in the whirlwind and everything starts going crazy. And then you're running around scrambling, trying to figure out what to do about this, what to do about that, what to do about the other. So for a long time, I have been talking to you guys saying you need to stock your pantry. I talked about you need to learn how to preserve your own food. Now, I've been having a hard time finding beef because a lot of these companies these ranchers are holding on to their cattle. I think they're just holding out, hoping for better times. I can't say that I blame them for that, but they're holding on to their cattle. I have some beef that I got from. I bought a calf with a friend of mine, and she filled her freezer, and we filled our freezer, and it usually lasts me a good 6 months, if not longer. It'll last me longer if I take what I purchased and I pressure can it and put it on my shelf. So surprise, surprise. The other day, um, I was fixing something. I can't think of what it was, and I had my husband go grab something off the shelf, and I had canned it in 22. I had something else I had canned in 20, and it was fine. If you do it right, it'll be fine. Nothing wrong with it. And then I had a young lady that I gave some food to because I knew she was struggling. She didn't tell me that, but I knew she was struggling. I happened to be over at her house, and my husband was in the other room with her, and I thought, me being nosy, just because I cared and I knew they wouldn't say anything to me if they were having a struggle, I took a peek in her refrigerator. I was like, oh. So I didn't say anything to her. But when we came home, my husband and I put together a big care package for her. It was meat and fruit and all kinds of stuff in it. Some of it I had canned myself. Some of it came from the store, and just over time I had been listening to this young lady, so I knew what she could not eat. I knew she couldn't eat tomatoes and just certain things. So I'm looking at things that I pressure can and whatever, and said, oh no, I can't give her that because that has tomatoes in it. I can't give her that because she's allergic to that. Or I can't give her, just from listening over time to know what she could eat and what she couldn't eat. So we put together this big old care package that had all this stuff in it and took it over there. Now, some of it on the cans, it had the best buy date, right? And the best buy date had passed. But here's the thing: best buy does not mean expired. It means it was at its peak before that time. It still tastes fine, but if people can psychologically get past the whole Best Buy thing, let me tell you about canned goods. There is absolutely nothing wrong with canned goods that go past their Best Buy date unless two things: the can is damaged and it's leaking, or it's bulging and it's swollen. Yeah, don't even open that. Okay, that's death in the can. Just throw the whole thing out. Other than that, it's usually fine. If you open up the can and you dump out the contents and you look in the can and the can has no damage in it, no black marks, nothing in it like that, it is fine. You just need to heat it up on the stove, bring it to a boil for 2 minutes or whatever. It is fine. Trust, I'm still here. Okay, I'm still here, and I eat stuff like that all the time. So anyway, so get past your phobia. I mean, the store wants you to keep coming back buying their stuff, and so does Del Monte and whoever all else. So they'll say Best Buy. Now, if it says expired, that's a whole different issue. Okay, that might be a little different. Yeah, I don't know about that. That might be a little bit different, and it depends on what it is. Let me give you another something. If you make bread, or if you make biscuits, let's say you make biscuits and you have milk that's getting ready to go off, you can make buttermilk biscuits, right? If you use whole milk, not skim milk, that's getting ready to go off, you can make buttermilk biscuits by putting 1 tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of white vinegar in the milk per cup that you're using. Let it sit for 10 minutes. The milk will clabber. That's all buttermilk is. It's sour milk that's thicker. That's all it is. So if you want to make buttermilk biscuits, don't throw your milk away. Just put a couple of tablespoons of vinegar in it. It can be apple cider vinegar, but that's going to give your biscuits a kind of a weird taste. So if you use the white vinegar, you're not going to taste vinegar. You will not taste vinegar. Okay, you will not taste vinegar. So relax. You ain't gonna taste vinegar, but you don't have to throw your milk away either. See what I mean? So the other day, it occurred to me that I had some dehydrated potatoes, like hash browns and sliced potatoes and all that I bought before, but I wanted some fresh potatoes. So I bought uh, 20 pounds, and 20 pounds of potatoes gave me 14 jars, quart jars. So 7 of the jars I sliced out. Now here, listen. One of these days, I'm gonna take y'all in my kitchen and I'm gonna walk through the process, but that'll be a long day. So I don't know. That might have to be a video because I would have to stop and go through the whole cooling process and blah blah blah, and then bring you back and all that. So there's that. Anyway, um, so what I did was I asked my husband Chris to go into the store and get me 20 pounds of potatoes, the best potatoes to pressure can if you're going to do it, and they do have to be pressure canned. Okay, if you're going to do it, are yellow potatoes, white potatoes, or red potatoes. Russet potatoes do not pressure can very well. You can do it, but you're going to end up with a whole lot of starch, excuse me, in the bottom of your jar, and it's just unsightly. You can eat it, but it's unsightly, and the texture is a little weird and all that. With the yellow potatoes, which is what he bought for me, um, some of them I just cut them into quarters until I filled up a jar, and then I used some salt, and that was it. And then other ones I cut them into wedges, right, long strips, wedges, and poured the hot water over them, and put a teaspoon of chicken broth in the jar, and then I pressure canned them. So I ended up with 14 jars of potatoes. Um, oh, JB said that I have commercials in a really because nothing's happening on my side. Wow, there's nothing happening on my side. Sorry about that, you guys. Um, yes, JB says for Patriots emergency food. Yes, we have some of that. Um, Augustin Farms, which is very expensive, I think. I don't know what they're doing lately. And then, um, what is it? Let me see if I can remember the company that I last. So I don't particularly care for shopping for from Amazon, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Um, Keystone Meats is very popular with a lot of people that preserve food. And the reason being for that is because on the label they sell chicken, turkey, pork, and beef in different size cans. Like they have 14 and a half ounce cans, they have 28-ounce cans, and that might be all. And they sell them in different increments. Like you can get a case of 24 cans of whichever. You can get a mixed box, which is going to be very expensive, uh, or you can get 4 cans that are 28 ounces. And so anyway, the um, the ones that I think a lot of people like to buy are the 14-ounce cans, and it's 12 cans in a case. I think it's 12. Yeah, is it? It's either 12 or 20. Let me see. Sorry, hold on. Let me check. Um, oh, it's 24 cans in a case. So, depending on whether it's you or you got a whole family you got to feed or whatever, what people like about this company is that in their cans, when they can their meat, there's nothing in it except salt and water. It doesn't matter if it's chicken, beef, turkey, it's just salt and water. That's it. Just salt and water, no preservatives, nothing. But it's heat sealed, right? So it will keep for a long time, usually 2 years, or at least, or something like that. The thing is, when you do it yourself, when I do it myself, I don't use preservatives either. And my stuff has lasted for 5 years. So I have eaten stuff that I canned 5 years ago. It was fine. I'm still here to tell the story, okay? It was fine. It was fine. I also noticed that the difference between the way I would process food. For example, there's cold processing and then there's hot processing. Hot processing is just a quick lesson, you guys. Hot processing is when you have the pressure canner, you've got your jars are in it, some of the water's in it, a little bit of the water's in it. Um, and you're steaming your jars and you're getting them hot, and you put your lids down in some hot water, not boiling, just hot water, and you brown your meat. You don't cook it all the way, but you just brown it, right? And then you put it in your quart jars or whatever size jar you're going to use. You fill that up with hot water or whatever broth you're going to use. And then you screw the top on finger tight and you put it in your canner, right? For 90 minutes. All meat has to be done for 90 minutes. Or you cold process, which means everything's cold. Everything. The jars are cold. The meat, you just wash it, clean it, cut it up, stick it in the jar. The meat's cold. Everything's cold, right? Because you don't want thermal shock to happen to your jars, right? You don't want to take hot jars and put ice cold meat in it because you're going to have an explosion. Okay, it's going, your jars are going to shatter. So you don't want to do that. And so if you cold process, which is very fast, you sterilize your jars maybe the day before. You let them cool down, come to room temperature, and you can sit them in the canner, but don't turn your heat on. Just sit them in the canner with a little bit of water. Cut up your meat. Take your jar out and put your meat in it. Put it back in the canner and all that. Then you're going to fill it up with water to the line wherever the manufacturer says you should fill it up to on your canner, and put the top on, bring it up to pressure, and process it all meat for 90 minutes, right? Um, you can do that. So with me, I did the potatoes, and they were fine. It was 40 minutes, and they were fine. And no, I didn't pre-cook them or anything. I took a brush that I have in my kitchen, and I took each potato, I scrubbed it under running water, and then I put it down in clean water to keep it from going brown while I was scrubbing all the other ones under running water. Running water, that's very important, because you don't want to scrub them and then put them down in a bowl with water, because all that loose dirt is just going to be in your water. You don't want that. So you want to scrub them off, rinse them real good under running water, put them in a bowl with some water to keep until you're ready to cut them up and put them in your jars. So anyway, that's just a quick lesson. I don't know, did I tell y'all too much? That's just a yes, Keystone Meats. Yes. So you can find it on Amazon. You can find it at Walmart, but with Walmart, they're probably ordering it from Keystone. So anyway, but check that out, right? They don't have any preservatives in their stuff, and I'm glad about that. Anyway, the next thing, what was it that I wanted to say? Let's see. Oh, let me get back to the medicine. So because they make all of our medication and they can't be trusted right now because they're really mad. And let me tell you, President Trump is hot with them because of what they did concerning, the cough and jab and all that. Oh my gosh. So he is not happy with that country anyway. And because he has cut off supply from them, pretty much doing business with them because they can't afford 140% tariff. It's bad over there. I'm telling you, I've been looking at the videos, and people have been sneaking out videos and walking around and showing that the malls are empty. A lot of the stores have shut down. The people have gone out of business because they can't move their product. So uh, the dictator of that country is destroying his own country just to save face. But, they're propagandists, experts. So they want to send out messages talking about how well they're doing and all that. Well, they lie and cheat about everything. I mean, everything. Okay. I'm not kidding. It's bad. And, but these people are sneaking out these videos and showing what is really going on in that country. And it didn't just start now. Now, the first time that the president was in office, he put tariffs on them then. And he said it needs to be fair. He said the same thing to Canada. Well, everybody in Canada is so busy hating on Trump, they got the Trump derangement syndrome, till they can't even understand how their country, who literally cannot defend themselves, they depend on the United States to protect them, has been jacking us around when it comes to dairy and all kinds of other products for decades. And he said, this is going to stop. You're going to pay for your own security. You're going to be fair when it comes to what you're charging us. You won't let our cars into your country and you charge us. something like, what is it, 67 or a high, it was an exorbitant amount of taxes for dairy and stuff like that. They just, I'm telling you, all these countries have been taking advantage of us long before we were born. And now there's a new sheriff in town who is saying, yeah, you know what, this is going to be fair because our people are smart. They know how to do stuff. We'll make our own stuff. We don't have to deal with you no more. Well, because we hold the reserve currency, that just set the whole world on fire. Now you got all these other countries, and China is trying to sneak products in through different countries, right? They were caught. They were caught. This government caught them trying to sneak their products in because they can't afford the tariffs, right? And their country's going down the tubes like right quick through other countries by having it come into their port, and then they change the label on it so it doesn't say, so it does not say made in China, right? It'll say made in Mexico or made in Malaysia or made in, yeah, it'll say somewhere else, but it won't say made in China. Well, they did some investigating and found out that that's what China was doing, right? So now what he's doing is he's telling people, if you're aiding and abetting this criminal country, we're going to tariff you too for trying to be slick and get their stuff into our country against our policy, right? So that's what's happening. It's not a thing about hating anybody or being racist or whatever kind of crazy stuff people want to come up with. It ain't about that, okay? It's about let's be fair. We want to do business with you, but it needs to be fair. It needs to work for both people. You know, it's like when you go shop anywhere or you call on a tradesman, right, to do some work on your house. You shop around, you get prices, you find out who's got the best price. That's who you're going to do business with. Who's got the best reputation? That's who you should be doing business with, right? Otherwise, don't complain about what they're charging you. Shop around. Now, if that's all you can do because that's all is in the area, you know, like the food desert thing, then you got to pay what you got to pay. If you don't already have it or you don't already know how to do it, you got to pay what you got to pay if they're the only show in town, right? And most of our trade with China was us supplying them supplying us, but the money was not fair. It was just ripping us off. So that's what's happening with the trade. And the reason why I say it's going to hurt is because some of that stuff ain't coming to port because the ships are turning around saying we can't afford to dock. We just can't. We can't afford it. So they're turning around and they're going back. So whatever's in the stores that come from that country, yeah, that's it. That's a wrap. Okay. Until they get their heads screwed on right and understand that this president ain't playing. Okay. He ain't playing with them. And if they want to destroy their own nation because of their pride and they think, you know, they're middle earth and all middle heaven and all this kind of stuff, well, whatever, you know, it is up to the citizens, a lot who have died trying to defend their right to just exist in that country. It's up to the citizens to put their life on the line or either escape, one or the other. And there's a way to do that too. I ain't gonna get into immigration. You know, my husband is an immigrant. I was an immigrant to Canada. We went through the door. We did not climb through the window, right? We didn't we didn't slide under the eaves of the country. We came through the door. We went through the very personal medical exams. We did the whole, listen, we did the thing, okay? Whatever the thing was that they required in this country, he did it. He did it. They could not find, and he could not find his shot records, right? They wanted proof that he had been vaccinated, had all his childhood vaccinated. My husband's almost 70 years old. Yeah, he had all, you couldn't go to school if you didn't have all your childhood vaccinations. Well, they don't keep records that far back. And yet our country was saying this is part of the immigration process. We want to know that you do not have some kind of a communicable disease that's going to infect our population. So you need to get an exam, right? Well, fine. He got the exam, but he still didn't have the shot records. So we called back to Canada. They were like, oh no, we don't we don't have that. That's too long ago. So you know what? You know what he had to do if he was going to be here and live here? He had to get all of those shots again. Terrible. Terrible. All of those shots from childhood up until he had to get all of those shots, except he didn't do that experimental thing. Yeah, no, we just nope. But anyway, he'd do it. He'd do it or go home. Go home. That was the requirement. When I went, I had to go through a grueling exam. Yeah, listen, he had to do this written exam, not a written exam, an oral exam on our history and our government and all this kind of stuff. And I think it was something like 101 questions that it was easy. It was 100 questions. He had to get 10 right out of the 100. It's pretty easy to get into this country, depending on where you're coming from. Well, by the time he got to 7, she said, "Well, that you're good," because she could tell he knew, right? He was answering stuff. When he told me what they asked him, he was answering stuff. I was like, "Dang, they didn't even teach me that in school." If they did, I must have been high or something because I don't remember. Okay, those were the days. Now I'm saved. But anyhow, so that happened. So I said all that to say, come through the door. It's not that this president does not hate immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. All right. Everybody keeps saying they just want a better life. They just want things to go well for. Listen, there's a process. I'm a living witness. Okay. There is a process. You don't sneak into somebody's country, start vandalizing their property, setting their cars on fire, and all this kind of stuff, talking about you want a better life. You're an idiot, okay? You need to go fly out on whatever broom you flew in on, okay? Because that's just evil. Anyway, hello, me too. How are you doing? Anyway, how y'all doing? Everybody doing all right? All right, let me get back to it. So let's see here. What was the other thing? Oh, let me get away from this Keystone meat thing. Now let me tell you this: it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. So if you greedy, you're gonna have to be eating for a while. All right, let me see. Um, oh, let me go back to the medication for a minute. Now, this is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what I did for myself and my family. Uh, I have found I've been doing a lot of research, and I'm considering going to an academy to be certified for doing this because I know a lot, but I that comes from me doing my own research and all that. But I'd rather sit under a master um, educator in herbal medicine and stuff so that I know not just how, but I know the whys of why something works, right? So I have substituted aspirin, which gives me stomach bleeds, right? If I get sick and I have to take aspirin, when I get to day 3, my stomach's going to bleed. And that's not good. What I have found that if I take white willow, it doesn't affect me like that. It just doesn't. White willow comes from the white willow tree. It's the inner bark that's been dried and ground into powder. And I bought the organic and I bought my own capsules. I bought my capsule machine. I make my own capsules and I'll take one of those and it treats me exactly like aspirin and it does not affect my stomach because it's all natural. With aspirin, with a lot of the medications that are in pill form, especially if they're enteric, they've got a coating on them supposedly to make it easier on your stomach, right? And some people just have a sensitivity to aspirin, and I'm one of those people, so I don't take it. And the other thing is, um, look up foods that cause inflammation because a lot of what's wrong with people in the West nowadays, because our food is so toxic, that a lot of stuff that we eat causes inflammation. It causes our lower extremities to swell or our hands to swell or for us to get a headache or heart palpitations. Sometimes people have food allergies and they don't know that what they're experiencing is a reaction to something that they ate. So my husband and I changed our diet about, I guess it's been a year now. And what we found, we did what's called an elimination diet, right? Some people call it carnivore, some people call it ketovore, whatever. But I call it an elimination diet. We strip down to the basics like meat, eggs, salt, electrolytes. We strip down. And then slowly we would add something back in and then see how we felt later that day or the next day. Did we feel achy? Did we feel nauseous? Did we feel, if we had some kind of an adverse response to it, then we knew this is something that we should not eat. It might not bother somebody else, but if it bothers you, you should not eat it. You have an allergy to it, or you have a reaction to it. And all allergies and stuff don't necessarily make you itch, right? It could just give you a headache or make you feel nauseous or whatever if you have a reaction to something that you ate that your body cannot handle. I have discovered that I will probably never eat another green pea, not a whole serving of them, as long as I live. I had not had peas for like several weeks. And then we decided we were going to eat some peas along with some steak or something that we had. The meat never bothers me. I ate the peas, and let me tell you, I woke up in the middle of the night, felt like something had ran over me and backed up and ran over me again. I was inflamed all over. I hurt everywhere. My hands were swollen. My ankles were swollen. I had a banging headache, and I'm trying to crawl to the bathroom to get some kind of anti inflammatory to calm this thing down. And I found out I cannot eat peas. Now, I ate them my whole life, but didn't bother me then. Bothers me now. My body, I can't handle it. Too high in carbohydrates and whatever all else is in it causes swelling. So I cannot eat that, right? Which was disappointing because I got a couple of soup mixes that had peas in it. I'm gonna have to pick them out if I'm going to use it, right? It made me sick, y'all. I'm not kidding. I mean, I was holding on, halfway crawling to the bathroom, just sick. I'm like, oh my God, what did I eat? And then I remembered what I ate because I only eat once a day and I eat between 12 and 2, and that's it. And I was in bad shape. I'm telling you, I was like that close of going to the hospital. And then I thought, what are they going to do? There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do except give me painkillers or anti-inflammatories, and I got that right here. So I didn't go. There was nothing they could do for me, and I knew that after I thought about it. Why am I going there? They can't do nothing. All they're gonna say is you're having an allergic reaction to something you ate. That's all they would. Well, I already knew that. So what was the sense of going? So I didn't. So I took some anti-inflammatories that I made myself with my machine and my capsules, and I took two of those, and I drank some electrolytes, and it took a couple days for that stuff to get out of my system. And I'm telling you, I ain't touched them since because I don't need that. I don't need that. So that's what you do, right? You strip down to the bare minimum and find out what your body rejects. And it might be something that you really like the taste of, but just understand that if you eat it and you have an adverse reaction to it, it will probably take 2 to 3 days to get that stuff out of your system. So, especially if it was carbohydrates. Keyword being hydrate, right? It causes you to swell. It causes you to hold water. So you're going to swell if you eat above your particular limit. I try to stay under 50 grams a day, right? That's a wrap, Jack. I'm trying because if I eat more than that, I'm going to, oh man, I'm going to wake up feeling like a train wreck. And I know it. So I ain't trying to roll the dice on that. Oh, thank you, me too. She said I'm looking beautiful. Thank you. Look at that. You like that? See that? You know what I did? I combed my hair all the way to one side and put a flip in and stuck a comb. See? That's all I did. Nothing fancy. So let me see. What else did I want to talk to y'all about? And the anti-inflammatory that I took is called cat's claw. Well, cat's claw is a bush. It's kind of not thorny. It's just got a whole lot of strings or something on it. It's a weird looking thing. And I went through a company that sells a lot of organic stuff, and I got the cat claw powder. Um, and then I got the cat claw that was like just the crushed up stems and stuff, because I made capsules out of the powder, and I made a tincture out of the uh, the bark itself. And how you make a tincture. Now, some people, now listen to me, okay? You can make a glyceride or you can make a tincture. You make a glyceride, it's going to be water and food grade glycerin. The good thing about the glycerin is that glycerin, uh, it's very very sweet. It looks like the white or the clear Karo syrup. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it looks very clear and it's thick like Karo syrup. Um, but it doesn't spike your blood sugar. It doesn't affect your blood sugar. So that's the good thing about that. The thing is, if you make something with a glyceride or you make it a glyceride, you have to keep it in the refrigerator once you mix it. Okay, you have to keep it in the refrigerator. If you make a tincture, most people will use vodka, right? A lot of most of the cough medicine stuff in the store have an alcohol base to them. Now, some people say, "Oh, I don't want the alcohol." You're not going to get drunk. Okay, let me explain it to you, Lucy. Let me tell you how it goes. When you make the tincture, you take your leaves, your bark, whatever it is you got, you put it in the jar, you pack it down, you fill the jar up with vodka. And the reason that people use vodka is because it doesn't it has like it's like a neutral taste. It's not rum. You can use rum or whatever. But the reason why I say you're not going to get drunk is because you're going to use a dropper, right? You put like 2 or 3 drops under your tongue. Now, if listen, if you get drunk over 2 or 3 drops under your tongue, there ain't no way you and me could have hung out in back in the day. Okay, I'm just saying. So you'll be fine. All right. But if you're concerned, all right, if you have a conviction about, or if you have a weakness toward alcohol and you're like, listen, if I take a teaspoon, I'm hitting the bar. It's going to be a trigger for me. Use the glyceride. Make a glyceride, or just buy the cat claw capsules. It is a great anti-inflammatory. It is the equivalent of Motrin, but it's in natural form. It doesn't have any binders or any other chemicals in it holding it together. It doesn't have any of that, right? It's just straight anti-inflammatory that comes from a bush. So, and it worked. I'm telling you, trust me, I'm sensitive to pain. It works. The other thing I did was I think I told y'all I had injured my knee. That's been going on 2 years now, or maybe going on 3 years now. Anyway, and it was such a weird injury. I was coming out of this building, and there was a rug there, and I'm trying to step over the rug, and I tripped over the threshold. Well, half of me was outside the door when I tripped over the threshold, and I came down on my knee on the cement. Now, I'd never had problems with my ankles or my feet or my knees or and never until I took that tumble. And then over time, I kept thinking, well, it's badly bruised. It's going to take a long time for it to heal and all that. And 2 weeks after I fell, I had a doctor's appointment anyway, just a routine appointment. And so I went in and they asked, are you in any pain today? Or I go, yeah, my knee hurts. What happened to your knee? I fell. When? She said, 2 weeks ago. What? You're just now coming in? Well, yeah. So I said, I knew I was coming, so I just waited. So my knee was looking like a water balloon. And so she sent me to get some x-rays, and they said, well, nothing's broken, but it's badly bruised. Okay. And, it's going to take some time for it to heal, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Well, time went on. 6 months went by and it was getting worse. And I thought something is not right here. And she had told me, if it doesn't seem to be getting better, come back and we'll take another look and what did she call it? The MRI. You know what an MRI is. So she says, well, the MRI looks a little closer, right? It picks up things that an x-ray won't. Well, they did the MRI. I had to fire my, quackadoodle. That she wouldn't do it. I had to fire quackadoodle, and so I got this different doctor, and and then the doctor who was going to order the MRI transferred and went somewhere else. So then I had to wait after I filed my complaint against the quackadoodle doctor. I had to wait like a month before I got another doctor. And then she sent me for the MRI. So I went and got that done. And they say, yeah, you have a bone spur in your knee. I never had a bone spur. Never had spurs. I had one then. And every time I would try to flex my leg or turn my leg to the side, there was this hook in my leg that was ripping my flesh. I could feel it every time. And when I would go to stand up, I would just have to like take a deep breath and just stand there for a minute and let my weight settle down on my leg before I tried to take a step, or my leg was just going to buckle out from under me. So we found out what was causing that pain. And I thought, well, dang. So I looked up this naturopath doctor. What do you do about bone spurs? And I can't even think of her name now. She's from Australia, but I can't think of her name. But anyway, hi Amber. So she said, take some strips of cloth and saturate them in. Listen to this, easy. Saturate it in organic castor oil. Not the kind that's got the salt, not the kind that's the laxative, just plain, because the kind that's a laxative has salt in it. You don't want that. You just want regular organic castor oil. Okay, so I got some castor oil, took these strips, soaked it in castor oil. She said, lay it on the affected area, wrap it in plastic, and put heat on it. She says, if you have an injury that you've been suffering with for 2 years, it could take you 2 months before you start feeling the results of this. If you injured yourself 2 weeks ago, it might take you 2 or 3 days. Well, I was into a year, right? And I'm thinking, oh God, this is going to take me forever. But let me tell you, I started doing that, and I did it like every day for a week. And then I started cutting it down to only when it hurt really bad. And now it's gone. Now let me tell you, it broke off. What happened was that little bone spur, that castor oil is a penetrating oil, except for your hair. On your hair, it just lays on top. But if you put it on your skin, it's a penetrating oil. So what it did was it went into my skin and it lubricated the joint, and that one little piece of spur, which was just excess calcium, broke off. And I told the doctor, I don't feel that pain anymore. I mean, my leg still hurts a little bit, but I don't feel that anymore, because they told me you have microfractures in your leg, because I kept walking on it, thinking it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It was getting worse. But anyway, so now instead of having to take all kinds of pharmaceuticals, right, I just do stuff like that. I'll take cat claw and I'll take the castor oil, and I put it on my leg. Well, now I just take the castor oil right in my hand and I rub it on my leg, and then I'll put a hot cloth or something over top of it to help it penetrate quicker. And usually I can't go to sleep unless I put that on there, because my knee would be sore if I don't. But what the castor oil does is it lubricates the joint. So when you do walk, you don't have that friction, right? It just slides and glides like it's supposed to. Now, when they sent me to the osteopath, right? The bone people. Anyway, when they sent me to the osteopath, she said, the only thing we can do for you, you're going to like this one. The only thing we can do for you is we can offer you steroid shots. You have to come in, what did she say, once every 6 months or once every 3 months or something like that. And we can give you steroid shots to deal with the inflammation. And well, first of all, I got stuff to deal with the inflammation. And I said, now, wait a minute. I thought people were getting steroid shots a lot more frequently than that. You know what she said? Come on, I'm going to tell you what she said. What she said was, Yes, but they found, whoever they is, they found that given the steroid shots, injecting it into the affected area, listen to this, was causing bone degeneration. I said, y'all are still offering that to people. So let me see if I understand this. I have an injury in my leg, and your fix for this is to shoot something in my leg that's going to cause my bone to break down. Yeah, no. Okay, what kind of insanity is that? And she says, well, I understand, but the only other thing we have is, and she talked about some kind of gel that they could shoot in there. And I said, and where does the gel go? Right? Because it ain't like my knee is a closed case. Where does the gel go? And she says, well, over time your body absorbs it. And then what? How does that affect me? Right? Is this gel eventually cause cancer? What are we doing here? Yeah, no. You know what? I'm good. I'll treat myself. And that's what I've been doing. So I said all that to say, with medicine being stopped and these quackadoodle doctors, these doctors, oh Lord, these doctors are being trained by the pharmaceutical companies who are telling them that the last drug that they created is the best thing since mama's pancakes. Okay. And you got to buy it. They don't teach these doctors how to wean their patients off the medication, because if you get well, they lose a client. Okay. If you get better, they lose money. So they're not in the business of healing you. They're in the business of managing your sickness so that they can keep the cash flowing. And what is it, 175 years or however long it's been that Pfizer's been around, and they haven't cured a single disease? In 175 years or however long it's been they've been around, not one single disease have they cured. What is that? You ain't got it right yet. You done went through a few generations and y'all still ain't got it right. Yeah, no, I'm good. Anyway, hey, there you have it. Okay, look, get to the store, get what you need. I've been telling y'all this forevermore. Now we're dealing with ain't no food coming in. Okay, we have, and you see all this rain and stuff that's going on. Don't you know that the crops have been destroyed? You ain't hearing about that, are you? That stuff's rotting in the ground. It drowned. Okay. So I'm telling you, whatever's there on the shelf, if you need it, you should get it. Um, because there you go. The world is on fire. The world is on fire. And watch your money. And let me tell you this, what's happening in Europe. Those poor people, oh my gosh. They have a law over there where if the country is in trouble, oh, they just go into your account and take your money. I mean, they just take it. They just absolutely take it. I saw a video of a guy who got stopped. It is against the law now in England to carry more than $1,000 in cash. Mhm. Here it's 10,000. It's not really against the law, but they can do what's called forfeit asset. I almost said that backwards. Asset forfeiture, right? Meaning they took this guy's money. I mean, they the whole thing was on camera. It's crazy. They stopped this guy. I don't know why they stopped him. Speeding, just a routine check. I don't know. And they asked him how much money did he have, and he says, some. Well, we need to know how much. Well, why do you need to know that? Well, because you could be trafficking money. You could be selling drugs. What? Maybe I'm not doing any of that. Maybe I'm just a working guy that has some money. Well, we need to know. We're going to detain you, and we're going to search your car, and we're going to search your person, and we're going to search your wallet and see how much you had. Well, he had like 870 something dollars. It wasn't even at the $1,000 mark. They still took it. They just took it. And they said, we're doing an investigation as to where did you get this money? This is a working man. Where did you get this money? We're doing an investigation. I said, they just stole his money. It was a stick up. It was a stick up by the police department, right? And he said, and they said, it's up to you to prove that you didn't get this money by ill-gotten gains. What? Listen, even if that was the guy's paycheck that he had cashed, how's he going to prove that he didn't get it some other way? I mean, he was a working guy. So anyway, it's just crazy. It's great. Yes, castor oil. Yes, it's just crazy. It's what's going on is nuts. So let me end by saying this: you cannot sit on the sidelines hoping that stuff gets better one day. There are things that you can do that will not cost you any money at all. You have to know what is going on in your country and what is going on in your state and who is trying to violate your rights and what bills are being written that will affect you. For example, we have a bill um, that was on the House floor, Congress, that wanted to take private land. I mean, just take it. Just take it. Excuse me, we're here. We're taking your land. Just take the private land. Uh, what do they call it? Eminent domain. We're taking the land because we want to put up solar farms. Wait a minute. You're taking somebody else's heritage land to put up solar farms? Really? And the solar farms, guess where they're made? In China. So I'm telling you, it's a hot mess out there. So, yes, I support this president and what he's doing because this stuff needs to get straightened out. This is ridiculous. We need to become a self sufficient country, one nation under God. That's who we need to be. Our sustenance and our supply comes from our Creator. And that's who we need to worship, not the dollar, not these other countries that want to do us in so they can take all of our stuff. But we need to understand where we come from. One nation under God. That's where we come from. Our rights come from Him. Our blessings come from Him. Our discipline comes from Him. And the government comes from the people. Okay? We elect these people. Or they cheat and get in there some other kind of way, but then you can primary them and get them out. Anyhow, get involved in what is going on in your local area. These city councilors are like the worst. They're the ones that's having all the secret meetings and doing what they want to do with the money, and they don't care what the citizens say because half the time the citizens don't come out to vote these rogue mayors and governors out of office. They don't show up. People get disgusted and they get sick of dealing with it, so they just stay home and say whatever. I'm just going to take care of me and mine. Well, you better look a little further past your own nose because this is not what's going to affect you while you're living. It's going to affect your posterity when you're dead. Okay. And so you need to be thinking beyond yourself. What kind of world do you want to leave to your family? Anyway, I'm 10 minutes late. I apologize. I try to keep y'all for like an hour and then I try to, wrap it up. But anyway, I just wanted to share all of that with you guys. I really hope you're doing well. I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day. And yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep prepping. Think about what I said. Get what you need to get. Don't be scared. Be informed. Okay. Don't be scared. There's nothing to be afraid of. But you do need to be aware as to what's going on. There's too many people just sticking their head in the sand because they feel like I just can't handle it. Listen, cast all your care upon Him because He cares for you. Okay. You don't have to worry, but you do need to prepare and you do need to be wise in where you're spending your money, how you're spending your money, and how you're budgeting your money. And make sure you have some cash, but don't leave all of your money in the bank. Put it in something that is a tangible asset because when the dollar crashes or if it crashes, you're going to lose everything and you don't want to do that, right? All right. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Yes, coconut oil is great for your teeth. You just got to be careful if you have fillings because it can loosen up your fillings. And then that can be, yes, Barbara, what's her last name? O'Neill. Barbara O'Neill. Yes, that was the Australian doctor. I couldn't think of her name. Anyway, yes, coconut oil is very good. And, but you just have to be careful. It's called oil pulling. I've used coconut oil with baking soda. I just, dip my brush in coconut oil and dip it in baking soda and scrub it up, my teeth. And that's it. But be careful if you have fillings, because it can loosen up your fillings. And now you got an expensive dentist visit. It sucks. So anyhow. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you guys being here. And all you mothers, happy Mother's Day. And all you spiritual mothers, happy Mother's Day to you too. Have a great weekend. I know it's been a long time since I've been on. Please share the video. I know I had, several subjects going, but I think what I have to say is important. And I'm reiterating things that I have said before, but it needs to be said because now we're in the moment that I have been trying to get us prepared for all these years up till now. So we're in the moment. So we're just going to walk through this together. Everybody, we're going to be fine. Just do what God tells you to do. That's all I'm asking is that you do what God tells you to do. He is your provider. Okay. I don't care if you're working. He's your provider. He's the one giving you the strength to go to work. Okay. So he is the provision. And I will see you guys the next time I come on. Be blessed, stay strong, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.